almost didn't unmute myself. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the second show of the day. Oh, we spoiled you, the guests we've got on tonight. My name's Big Joe Shep, founder and chief bloke of the Three Blokes Rugby group. Tonight is another very special show. I wanted to do this one for ages. One half of our co-host of our Leinster Line monthly show is a guy called Conor Broomfield, who you all know well, who is the founder and runs the For Province's Rugby Supporters Group. If you haven't joined that yet, go. It is one of the safest places to be online. It's great crack and everything to do with Ireland, looking inwards and downwards of the provinces, looking upwards and outwards. It's superb. Conor Broomfield, welcome to our joint show, mate, and thanks for taking the time. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Joe. You know, we're still within 72 hours of Leinster picking up a bit of silverware, so that means I'm in a good mood. I can't promise about my mood after Tuesday or Wednesday, but for now I'm good. Yeah, really good.
Cool. Well, on tonight's show we're going to be looking at on a special joint show. We're going to be looking at last Saturday's Pro 14 final between Leinster, 4 on a row for us to win, and beating Munster, I think, for the 10th time in a row. The last 9-10 times that we played them in it wasn't champagne rugby, but we'll come to that. We're going to have a look at that and a quick review of that. And we are going to be looking at Leinster and Munster, and is there a gulf within the two provincial sides, and all that goes. We've got some really, really special guests tonight. As ever, we're brought to you by Shep's Blend, courtesy of coffeedog.ie. Go to coffeedog.ie and pick up some Shep's Blend. It is the only thing that you ever want to wake up with in the morning. Trust me on that one. There we go. So thank you to them for partnering with us for that. And Conor, who have we got on tonight's show? Who's our first show tonight?
Yes, we have a very special guest by the name of Danny Brosnan. Danny is a Kerry man. He's a former player with Killarney Rugby Club. He describes himself as an honest messer, always willing to learn, and having interacted with Danny on multiple forums for the last couple of years, I can confirm that that's a pretty accurate assessment. Danny, you're very welcome to the show. I've never seen him this quiet now. There must be a technical issue.
Yeah, he's got himself on mute.
Yeah.
How are you, Dan?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, thanks for that, now, Joe. Thanks for that, now. But no, it's great to be on the show, lad. It's nice to see you again, Conor. Same with you, Joe. And I'll be honest, I'll be as honest as I can be with all this here. Anyway, over the weekend, I'm still not in the best of form, but better team won. I'll be honest.
Cool. Well, we'll get back.
No.
We'll come on to that, mate, and what your thoughts were, and where it was won and lost, and stand-up players, and who didn't stand up, and whether there's if we look at all of that. We've got another guest to introduce. First of all, this is one of my very best friends. He is a former Springbok international scrum half. See, I do like some scrum halves. I even have them as friends. You know, this man was
not the Irishman.
Oh yeah. As long as they just
or the Welsh.
As long as they just don't box kick, I'll be happy as anyway. This man doesn't box kick; he's just an all-round good egg. Former Springbok international scrum half, and he was a Leinster under 18s and 19s coach, and he is now the director of rugby at the internationally acclaimed but based in Ireland Rugby Academy Ireland. And this is some of the images of him. Think like Dan. And this one here, Dan's like Dan. Please welcome our good friend and welcome back to the show, Dan Fonsale. Dan, how are you?
Geez, Joe, I'll have to get some pictures of you. I didn't expect that, but great to be on the show again. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely no problem at all. Lads, you're all very, very welcome to the show. I think Conor is Williamson is on the hi, folks. Gregor Galway is ever. Gregor, good man yourself, and Kay Beachnet is on as well. You're all welcome to the show, lads. Any questions for the steam panel tonight? Crack on. Conor, I think you're going to start us off, mate, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a simple overview of the game for me is that rugby is a simple game. You win the game line. You dominate possession and territory. You usually win the match, and that's what happened on Saturday. Leinster started with huge intent, and they forcing a Munster to concede a line out deep in their own 22 from the kickoff, and they continued. Leinster continued with that intent for the rest of the match. The execution wasn't always there. They could have won by more, I felt, but they dominated all the key stats, from possession to territory to line breaks to meters made. Every key metric showed positively for Leinster, and that was the winning of the game for me. Gentlemen, your thoughts. Danny.
I'll be honest with you. The way I saw the game Saturday was Leinster were hungrier for that win after their loss the previous week. Was against Ospreys. They lost to, and I think they wanted it more. Munster were not prepared. They weren't as intense. They weren't as mentally prepared. The only thing that seemed to keep them in the game was their defensive work. Offensively, I wasn't exactly too happy with how they're going. But in saying that, Leinster were stronger defensively than Munster were in attack. But I'll be honest with you, I honestly felt that the better team came out in that. And it shows Munster just weren't really at it at all when it came to going forward. Just
okay,
to me, they weren't there. I honestly felt they had been
right. But surely for a team that hasn't won a trophy in 10 years, that's lost 5 in the bounce to this opposition previous to Saturday. Surely the one thing that should be there in abundance is intensity, desire, and appetite. We heard all week from the pundits the Munster were going to want this more, and they had to win it. It was a seminal moment, if you will, for Munster rugby, and to progress, to push on, they really had to deliver in this one. And you cited preparation there as well. Like there's really no excuse for not doing your homework and getting your preparation right for a final. Do you think this, if they're the reasons they lost, is this really an indictment of the coaching team or the players?
Do you know what? I think there must be something wrong somewhere along the line. I think one of it might be the coaches maybe getting across the game plan, but at the same time, I think it's the players executing the game plan to an extent, which I feel is part of the problem. I don't think there's any plan B from what I've seen. If there is, it's not strong enough, and they're not coming out quick enough. I'd have loved it if we beat Leinster, but Leinster they've plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G all the way through. And they always make those quick little changes. I think we're just a little bit too slow getting there throughout this game, and maybe throughout the season. We're just fractions slower when it comes to getting around. I think they were prepared to an extent, but I just don't think they were prepared for that intensity for Leinster, because Leinster, to me, just wanted it a lot more. I know the pundits were saying Munster wanted it. I know the pundits were saying that they had to deliver to get to the next step, but we're just short. We're just short on this. Whoever it is, we're just short on every little aspect of it. We're just missing those little steps. That's the way I see it.
Okay. Little steps, preparation.
Yeah.
Dan, let's bring you in on this. Preparation, intensity, inaccuracy, execution. All these are something different.
Yeah, look, I do.
The intensity I saw from a lot of those Leinster players was just too much. The only thing we were prepared for was defensively. Offensively, Lam needs to do a bit more work, I think. To be honest with you, he just wasn't ready for that intensity on the Leinster defence. From my side, just not ready for it.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Now, Dan Van Ziel, let's bring you in on this.
No, Conor, I actually agree with you. And look, the hunger statement always gets mentioned in big games. I don't think at professional level it really comes down to that. You know, if you're not up for a final, you won't be up for any game. So for me, it delves a bit deeper in that. I do think the restart. One thing you do say in finals is we've got to start well. And I do think the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes belong to Leinster, you know, and add Munster under the cosh straight away. I also think what you expect from Munster is, you know, real line speed and be in the faces of Leinster. And that was the biggest disappointment for me, is you didn't see that, you know. You didn't see guys owning the gain line. And then the other thing that you expect in finals is your big players to perform well, you know. And I don't think the Munster big players performed as well as the Leinster big players. And I think that was the major difference for me. You can talk about tactics, and, you know, we'll probably get deeper into it. But I thought Leinster came early in the second half and they changed the way they tried to play in the first half, where it just seems for me, and I know Johan, very nice guy, very good coach, Larkham, good coach, brilliant player, Roundtree. I think individually they all very good coaches, but I don't know, you know, when the heat comes on, how's their communication in the backroom staff, you know, because I felt that with Munster, the games they've lost this year, it's almost they have to watch 2 videos after the game got played to realize what went wrong. They can't change it in the game, where I feel Lancaster, Leo, they can change things in the game from one half to another.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to bring Danny back in. Danny, welcome back, mate. Don't worry about it. We have it all the time. Never work with animals, children, and technology, brother. So good for you to be with us. We'll get you back in just a second. Let's have a look at who we've got with us first, Con. Tonight, Catherine Beechner Kay, great to have you on as well. 2 shows in a day. Thank you, my dear lady. We've been dogged by injury, psychological upset of losing teammates. Doesn't make for a cohesive team. John Keys. John, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Evening, everybody. As much as it hurts me to admit this, I think the players did not believe they could win. Again, we talked about Ulster on previous shows, just almost being like almost a Clermont Auvergne bit of the nearly men, you know, and falling apart on the big occasions. Bearing in mind that we'll get back into it shortly on which players stood out and who didn't really. I didn't think Leinster were that good. It was workmanlike at times, and we got over the line, but we left an awful lot on the park there. And yet, and we're going to cover the gulf. Is there a gulf? Sorry, I don't want that to be rude. The question is there a gulf between Leinster and Munster, and if so, what is it and why is it caused? So we are going to come back to that. So, but John Keys goes on to from the kickoff, they fumbled and gave up the 1-22 and never really recovered. Catherine again is a Munster fan. Anyone else anyone who gets to a final once, sadly we weren't good enough on the day. Gerald Williamson, one of our special friends, former past presidents at Navan Rugby Club. The Leinster had the hunger for the game, and it showed in the pace that they were setting. John Keys again. We were lucky to go in even at half time, and that wasn't enough to get them up for the second half, where they were more error-strewn and rudderless. And finally, on this bit, Martin Mead, from my very good friend Martin, fellow Schnauzer lover. When I saw the teams, my first thought was that Munster had a slight advantage, and the Fame had such promise. Plus, Munster had the emotional incentive of a performance for Holland, for Billy Holland and CJ Stander, who are leaving at the end of the season, as we know. Unfortunately, Munster underperformed, and Leinster experienced ground out the victory we did. I'll always take a Leinster win, but hands on heart, Irish Rugby needed a Munster win. Do you know what? I've seen that lots of times, and obviously I sit in the Munster supporters group, and that makes me feel very welcome. They know I'm a Leinster fan. I'm not in there as chief bloke, but it's. There was a bit of us talk to and fro. They're just trying to get their, i.e., that people are. They're just trying to get their excuses in early, and that wasn't the case. I genuinely thought, people like myself, yeah, I always want Leinster to win. Clearly, I always want Leinster to win. But actually, I thought Munster had played really, really well this season, and I thought they were going to run us an awful lot closer than they did. I don't know whether some of the Six Nations guys or what it was, Danny Brosnan, but it just didn't seem to gel. There was some good individual play there, Danny, but I didn't see it as being somebody used the word before, cohesive, and I don't know what's going wrong. Dan, the great Dan Fonsale himself says, I mean, look at the coaching setup that you have got. Van Graan is a quality coach. You've got Roundtree, you've got Larkham. It should be gelling more together. You've got the players there. There's no excuse anymore that there isn't enough players at Munster. But what is it? What is the fundamental thing, Danny Brosnan, for you that's missing with your side at the moment?
If you look at some of the best teams out there, they have one or two characters that stand out. They get the team over the line. One lad that does for me is Rhys Ruddock of Leinster. He's a very quiet lad on the field, but he brings intensity. He brings leadership. He gets kind of guys to work hard and up their game bit by bit. Munster, I don't think, have that. Plus, everyone seems to have their own little idea of what's going on, but there's no real. I don't think there's any real there's no real good communication there, from what I'm seeing. Somewhere along the line, everyone has their own little plans, saying, we'll try this, we'll try that. Seems to be no good communication, no big characters, and no real strong leadership from the coaches and the players as well. So that's the one thing there are probably a few things that are missing for me, from my perspective at least anyway. That's what I'm seeing.
It's interesting you singled out Rhys Ruddock. I just think he is one of the most underestimated players at playing professional rugby today. I just think it's persistency and consistency week in, week out. The man is just an absolute beast. And I just think that he would have got more games, but the plethora of back row players we have at Leinster, let alone Ireland, I think that is what's causing that. So, but that leads us on to the point, Dan Fonsale, the stand-up plays. I saw CJ getting very frustrated at times. And there was a lot of frustration. You could almost feel it in the Munster players. Whereas I never really got the same frustration from Leinster. That we weren't converting things at times, but it was just up again, go, up again, go. Who stands out for you in that final from either Leinster or for Munster, Dan Fonsale?
Well, for me, I think it's Rhys Ruddock has been immense, and when Leinster struggled to get go forward ball, Rhys delivered that. So for me, he was definitely one of the standout players. I also think Robbie Henshaw, he brought his form that he had in the Six Nations. He brought that through into the game, and then Luke McGrath has played some. He goes about his business quietly, but he brings the forwards into play, and he's very calm influence. Where I didn't feel that Conor Murray brought that. McGrath probably looked like the international player rather than Murray on the day, and for me it comes down a little bit to team selection. I think Munster probably missed a trick by starting a guy like Casey that could have been up the tempo and get Munster in the game with energy and so on. Not taking anything away from Conor Murray, his performance against England was world class, but I do think in finals you have to pick guys that's going to give you energy at the start, and then guys that can change the game coming on. And I think Munster missed a little bit of a trick there. So for me, Leinster, Ruddock and Marshall, McGrath and Henshaw, for me was the standout guys there. I think Chris Farrell tried hard, but for Munster, but tactically, I think Munster set Farrell up in the midfield but by doing that, they took him and the Allender out of the next phase. And I think they lost a lot of momentum then on the next phase, rather than send the Allender up in the first phase and then have Farrell in the wider channels to get over the gain line again, second phase. So the sides for me, and sorry if I carry on too long, keep me quiet, but the sides for me that's really had Leinster in trouble. Ospreys the week before didn't have great players, but they had intensity and ambition to play, and they ran angles and they kept the pace high. Glasgow, when they caused Leinster problems in the past, they run angles, they keep the pace high, they attack in the 13 channel. The same of the Osprey, the Scarlets a few years back under Pivak. They play in the wider channels where I think Munster tried to attack next to the ruck the whole time, and that's where Leinster is strong. So for me, people must have the ambition to attack wider. How many times have O'Loughlin and Henshaw played together? Not a lot, and yet Munster didn't test that combination enough, according to me.
I'm getting a bit of feedback there. Let me just sort of. Okay, there we go. I'm a big fan of Farrell and de Allende. That on paper should be just an awesome partnership, and yet it was two great individuals that didn't pay particularly great. Damien de Allende was getting very frustrated, and it just really wasn't coming together at all. And I think that's the difference. The Leinster have a team, no matter who they put in. So, like you say, O'Loughlin and Henshaw together, and it just gels. And I think when we come onto the Gulf later, there's a difference there on maybe the coaching styles and what Leinster, Leo and Bomber have built there, building a culture within the organisation that maybe Munster just don't have. Connor, thoughts?
Yeah. Dan made an interesting point earlier about perhaps there's an issue with communication there between the coaching staff between Roundtree and the three guys. One thing Leinster are always have been praised for in recent years is the partnership between Cullen and Lancaster, and how well they work together, how well they communicate, and they divide the responsibilities up, and they're on the same wavelength. And I think that transfers to the team and how they play. You mentioned, Joe, about how easy different players step in. Leinster have used no fewer than 57 players this season. That's quite staggering, and still only lost two matches. We've seen players in the senior squad who have progressed. We've had several players come through the academy, and a couple like Jamie Osborne and Marcus Hannon coming through the sub-academy play. And apart from a couple of exceptions, the results haven't deviated. So I think there's huge confidence and belief in the systems that they play, no matter who's lining out on match day. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what the role is and what they're supposed to do. And that's the difference between Leinster and other teams that aren't quite at their level. It's understanding. That's the All Blacks, philosophy. The All Blacks change their team in rotation. I'm not saying Leinster are as good as the All Blacks, but I think they're modelling their play and the whole system on being as close as possible.
I'm getting some feedback there from somewhere. Danny Brosnan. Let me just, I'll just try and mute people off, guys, as we're talking. I might sort of just stop it. There we go. Thanks very much. Danny Brosnan, is there a gulf between, you look at some of the youngsters that Leinster have got on the books, and you look at the overall side of Munster, and there's some brilliant players there. There is no reason why they shouldn't be winning silverware, you know. So what is causing the gulf between the two sides, between Munster and Leinster? Is there, in fact, is there a gulf? And if so, what causes that gulf? What is it for you?
The big gulf for me, and there is a gulf, because if you look at Leinster's players, there's about 2 or 3 quality players. I mean, almost international quality players in most positions Leinster have. Munster have that in certain positions, but not every, apart from Ty Byrne, Peter O'Mahony, Stander, and maybe some of our props. If you strip some of them away, you're looking at good players, but not the same quality of players. And I think one of the things that may have happened, I felt, was Munster didn't seem to, the people at Munster didn't seem to try get the best academy, or best players through the academy they could. But I think they're trying to rectify that now. But it'll take a bit of time to get a lot of those players back in. There was a period, let's say, maybe between 2011 and 2015, where we had a lot of the players like O'Connell, Maffey, O'Gara, O'Leary, Stringer. They were leaving, and there was no real replacements for them coming through. There's a few good players there, but no real quality replacements coming through the academy. I think that's part of the reason why we're maybe a little stagnant. We've got a few good players, but not the quality of depth or the strength and depth needed to really push on. Leinster, they seem to have been getting it right for a long time now. Looking for the players, getting the players through the academy, getting them playing right. I'll give you credit for that. But I think there's that little bit of a gulf there. I said, we have the players. We're just off overall. And we have a lot of good players coming through, like Thomas Ahern, the lock. We've Liam Coombs on the wing. I think he's doing well. We've Crowley, Healy, and Flannery, I think, coming through as well in the 10 channel. And there's a few more players coming through. But I think we're still a little bit off for really competing. We're a good team. It's just the small little things we're missing that need tweaking, need adjusting and stuff like that. And I think that's what Leinster have gotten so right at the moment compared to maybe the rest of the provinces and most of the teams they play. It's just everything is just in order, coming right through from, I'd say, from when they're getting the scouting through to coming into academy and going to senior team. Everything's just streamlined. There's no real transfer. Everything's just, they know what's coming up, they know what the next step is. We seem to be a little bit disjointed that way. It seems to be a little bit slower, maybe a little bit taking a little bit more easy, but that's why I think that there is a gulf there, and I think that's why the gulf is there. It's just the small little things. We're just a little bit off, I think.
Yeah. You're in development, Danny. Probably a few years behind the Leinster rugby machine, and as you alluded to, there's a number of factors there, from coach to the academy to the transfer of the development to schoolboy players, etc. And I don't think we can overlook either just the amount of top end quality at Leinster too. You know, you look at the two match day squads for Saturday. Leinster had 15 players involved with Ireland in the Six Nations, 10 starting and 5 that came off the bench, whereas Munster had 7, 5 starting and 2 coming off the bench. So we probably can't be too hard in terms of on Munster in terms of the result. One thing Danny did mention there was the young players coming through now in Munster, and that's it might be an area where they're catching up on Leinster. A number of he mentioned Healy and Crowley, and there's also Josh Wycherley, Thomas Ahern. There's a number of very promising players who've delivered for Ireland at under 20 level. So Dan, your thoughts on Munster development? Is it going to plan? Are they catching up with Leinster? Will this transfer to senior level in the years to come?
Yeah, look, I'm here 20 years now, and the first 10 years that I was here, it was the other way around. It was Munster and Leinster tried to catch up, and I do think tables have turned now. But in saying that, Leinster, I think, used 59 players, is it correct, over the course of the Pro 14, and Munster 53. So to use 53 players tells you that the talent is there. It's just to get them enough experience in the games. And I sometimes think as well, what Leinster does really well is Leinster's, and this comes probably with a little bit of experience, and not saying the coaches, or not saying anything against the coaches, but I sometimes feel Munster play either with an inexperienced side or with an experienced side, where Leinster seems to mix it in the whole time. And I think that can help. Why not play a Casey again with a Carberry, or an inexperienced guy with an experienced guy? I know finals is different, and you want your best players on the pitch, but during the season, I think Munster can maybe look to play the inexperienced lads rather than send them out by themselves. Mix it up a little bit. But I do believe I was lucky enough the last year that I coached the Ireland under-18 side. I coached Josh Hotnett, who I think is a fabulous player, and I think, very good whether he plays 6, 8 or 7. There was times where people said he was too small, but every time he's played for Munster, he's been really good. Thomas Ahern, I was lucky enough to coach, and I think he's top class. I do think there's really good Munster players coming through. For me, the biggest gulf, if we talk golf, is front row. I don't think Munster have the front row players that Leinster have, and without, I certainly don't want to sound insulting or so on, but I think the Leinster number 3 front row would have probably started if they were eligible to play for Munster. And I think over coming off the bench, that makes a massive difference. Munster just didn't have that quality in the front row that Leinster could rely on. And then back row wise as well, Chris Cloutey, he's the guy. He gives away a lot of penalties and so on, but he's the guy with the most turnovers in the Pro 14 or close by in games that he's played. How are you going to beat Leinster? You've got to win the ball, and they don't pick him. Jack O'Donovan has been the form back rower for Munster. He doesn't get picked. So I do think they've got to ask questions about that. They do have the players, but it's going to take them 2 years for, as I said, they 53 players, but those 53 players now need experience, and that's probably going to take another 2 years to win finals rather than lose them.
Yeah, I think it's small margins sometimes, isn't it? But the choices available to the coach, sometimes the hands are forced a little bit, and sometimes you think, well, why have they put that combination of people together? It just doesn't seem. But I think what you said before, that maybe sort of they're just about 2 years or so behind Leinster, and they've just got to continue that going, Munster, to keep the players coming through. But everything revolves around the pack. I think Ulster found that when we played Ulster, and the pack was a difference, and the front row, and in fact the side 5 was the real difference, to be honest. And I think that is something that we have in abundance. It will be interesting to see at the end of the season what happens to some of our back row, because I think that we're going to lose 1 or 2 people from where they go. I don't know. We're going to come back onto Munster, because Munster have today announced that they're potentially signing another lock. Another Safa, So we'll come back to them in a minute. But some more comments. A share champion for one of our good friends in the Southern Hemisphere. How are you? Random query. Is there a female equivalent to the Six Nations? I share there is, and it starts on Saturday, the 3rd of April, which is the Saturday, in fact. And that runs through to around about the 25th of April. But yeah, there is a female Six Nations. And yeah, I think with the advent of World Rugby announcing last week or the week before last of the women's WXV competition, I think the only difficulty, it's going to add value. It's going to add more spice actually to the women's game just on that bit. However, one of the issues is going to be whilst the qualifications for the World Cup will be all part of this new competition. So from the women's Six Nations perspective, it will help. But you've still only got really England, who are the full professional team. I think some of the French are professional, but not all of them. England have the only full professional team. Ireland, Wales, Scotland, Italy don't. And there's an issue. There's just a side thing. But yes, there you go. Great to see you on. And I hope everybody is well down in the Southern Hemisphere. But yeah, Saturday, the 3rd of April starts the Six Nations. Back to tonight's Sock Junkies. Munster could not slow down Leinster ball. And at times Leinster were relentless, whereas Leinster were fantastic in defence, especially at the ruck times with ruck time with Rhys Ruddock and Josh van der Fleer. What else we got? Kay. Yep, just saying there to share the Women's Six Nations. Johnny Pullen. And Johnny, great to see you back up and around after your operation again. Johnny, who runs coffeedog.ie. Go there, obviously, for Shep's Blend, obviously, as you do. Wake up with Shep. Kay Beechner, True K, but Pom should never have been picked 7. And CJ had obviously emptied his emotional tank for Ireland. But Coombs played a good and mature game. I think Coombs is a bloody find, Danny Brosnan. Are you happy with him, the way he's been brought on? There's real potential there for Ireland, isn't there? In the back row.
There is. He's probably one of the star back row players we have that hasn't probably gotten an awful lot of maybe attention in other places. But I think he's definitely one of the long-term back row options for Munster and maybe Ireland. He's definitely shown that he's capable of playing well. He's got some very good hands. He can no problem hitting rucks. What he did to stop the Leinster try along with CJ, I think Saturday. I mean, the amount of work he puts in defensively and offensively is very well. I think he's beyond his years in certain aspects of it. I think he's just getting maybe that higher level of experience. I think he'd do better with maybe in the Ireland camp a bit longer, but I'm happy for him. I think he's definitely one player we should be very happy for anyway. I'm very happy for the lad. I think he's a fantastic player. Really happy with him.
Yeah, cool. I know, Con, you were chatting there before the show, and you were saying about the lock that they're just bringing in Jason Jenkins. He's currently with Toyota for Blitz, I think he's at, but he was former Bulls man. In Western, your neck of the woods, Dan, wasn't it? Dan from Sale.
Could be it.
Well, I was about to say he was well schooled. He was in the same school as what I went to. You know, St Albans College have got 3 Springboks, and I was lucky enough to be the first, and he's the 3rd.
Superb, absolutely great. So, do you think it's interesting you say, because obviously they've got RG Snyman in as well? Obviously, he had that dreadful injury, and not long after he first got there, bless him. But bringing in another Safa lock, when you talk about the front row being light, is there a good rationale for that, Dan from Sale?
Look, personally, they have got young with Wycherley there and with Thomas Ahern and so on. I do think they've got young guys there that can come through. I think Snyman was a massive loss. He's the type of guy that you sign to win finals. And I think had Munster had him, we would have probably a slightly different conversation. You know, if
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I think we're a little bit too light in the front row at the moment. I'd be looking more maybe bringing in another hooker, maybe just to kind of maybe get the line out working a bit better. I know we have quality ones, all right, maybe Auburn, but I'd be looking for bringing maybe some part of an international or former international hooker, just to kind of maybe improve them there a little bit with experience, see if they can up the game with the hookers that are there already. At least that's what I'd be. At least that's where I'd be looking for anyway. Props, I think we're good enough with Cronin, Kilcoyne, Young Royshire. We have a few good props coming in, but that's a place for me anyway, just to get the line out functioning a bit better and a bit quicker as a step up from there and around the park as well.
Interesting. Absolutely. Some interesting comments coming in here. One from Catherine Beechner. I think Munster are missing Jerry Flannery. Yes, a number of people have mentioned that. I've seen it come up in discussion. Jerry, former Munster in Ireland hooker. What exactly are we missing there with Jerry Flannery? Just his technical ability. He was probably the best line-out thrower and hooker we've had in my lifetime, I'd say. His connection with the Munster players, is it important? Are they missing that? Do you feel, guys? Do you feel Munster are missing having one of their own there coaching, especially in their forwards? And was it right to get rid of him? And is doing as good a job? Dan Van Zyl, your thoughts on this issue?
Look, Flannery is class. There's no doubt about that. But Roundtree is a pretty good forwards coach as well. And I don't know what the politics are and so on. But obviously, Munster, as I said, in my first years in Ireland, I'm here 20 years now. It was very hard for a non-Munster man to get the nod ahead of a Munster guy. And I was surprised to see Flannery go. He's done a wonderful job with Quince at the moment in the Premiership. But again, as I say, Roundtree, he's been on Lions tours and as players and coach and so on. So I wouldn't look too much into that. I do agree with the hooker. For me, O'Byrne, Scannell, McSherry, none of them, they all very similar, without anyone claiming that number one shirt. So I would say, if you look at Brian Byrne and Tyke McElroy now, two other Leinster hookers, both in Bristol, that's maybe a trick that Munster wouldn't or should look into is getting a quality hooker.
Absolutely. Joe?
Yeah, thanks, mate. I think it's I think it's an interesting sort of time around. I mean, we've got the Europeans coming up now. Dan Fonsell, we'll stay with you first of all. What do you expect now? Leinster, I think they needed this win, but they know that there'll be lots of work-ons this week leading up to that. And for Munster, can Munster sort of really bounce back again in the games they've got? What would you be expecting to see now? Because season's far from over, mate, isn't it? You know, we've got the Europeans, then we've got the Rainbow Cup. We'll come back to that in a second. But what are you expecting, Dan Fonsell, for the Europeans now from both sides? My bad, Dan.
You know, I think Leinster will beat Toulon. I'll be very surprised if they don't. I think that final actually brought extra hunger to them and to the guys that wasn't in the starting lineup. But for Munster, I do think, you know, a lot of people said about the final and, you know, we have to win the final and so on. But I actually think this week is where all these things that we discuss is where it's really got to come to the fore. I think Munster needs a massive performance on the weekend. So if they don't, then I think questions are going to be asked more than what we asked tonight. And for me, it's just ambition to play. You know, 72nd minute, they behind, they box kick. You know, and that's been a theme of Munster's play throughout the season. Casey, even when he played, although he's not that type of player, but in the opposition 22, he kicks a box kick. So I do think they've got to strategize better and look to play with a little bit of more ambition.
Fair enough. Danny Brosnan, Munster for you in Europe. What do you need to do now? Do you think you can win?
I think we can, but like anything, I think one thing we need to do is we need to start Craig Casey at scrum half, because if you partner him with Joey Carberry, he's one of those lads that just loves to run and attack the ball and attack defensive lines and get quick ball and fast ball. I think that suits Munster better than Conor Murray's current style of play. But I think we can. I think the disappointment of losing to Leinster again, I think we'll want to get to semi-final or final, maybe meet Leinster and hopefully get the better of them this time. I think that losses might do us more good than harm, but I'm not sure how good we'll do it right now at this one. But yeah, we've pulled out of the bag this season a few times already. Start of the season, last minute penalty kicks from halfway. We can do it. We've proven we can win games. It's just the mentality of taking it like a league game and saying, if we lose, we lose. It's no big deal. I think it's just one of those things. When we get to knockout stage, we just seem to get too nervy and go back into our shells. We just need to treat it like a league game and say, if we lose, we can come back again. We can do something better. I think that's one thing we can do. But we have the players. I think we can do it. Leinster as well. I can't see Leinster failing until they get to the semi-final at least. And even then, I'm backing them to win it. But that's how far I see Leinster going this season, to be honest. Munster, maybe a semi-final this year, and that's it, if we're lucky.
Well, interesting. I think they've got. Unfortunately, we've lost Danny Brosnan. He's had a few technical difficulties with the signal there tonight, but we'll get him back in as soon as we can. Catherine Beechner, Kay, says that she needs Pom back to recover ASAP. Do you think someone like Pom can lift the team again, Dan Fonsell? You know, we all know he's a true warrior through and through, but
he's a Lions captain. You know, I'm not. I don't want to be Reggie Corrigan and say anything against Peter Manny. So I definitely think he can. So. But again, it's to get that balance right, because I do think Jack O'Donoghue has played excellent stuff. Coombs has played excellent stuff. So So it's to get that balance right, and to make sure that the guys starting don't start on reputation, but they start on that desire and that and you know, the game is gone from the 15 best guys start. Peter O'Mahony can maybe fulfill a great job coming on the last 20 minutes when Munster really need him. 6-all last week at half time. If Peter O'Mahony could have come through up on the second half, you know, it might have been. You need those sort of. Jack O'Donoghue, I thought, did really well when he came on, but he's not a Peter O'Mahony, or he's not there yet.
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. Welcome back. Yeah, you're right.
Sorry. Technical issues on my end, Dad. Sorry.
Don't worry, these things happen, cadet. We're going to finish off very briefly, Connor, aren't we, on the Rainbow Cup. So, Connor, do you think at the end of where we are now, do you think it's viable really still to be going ahead? It's going ahead anyway. It's going ahead anyway, you know, April through to June. But do you think it's the right thing to do, and do you expect to see more youth being played in those teams? Do you think that, obviously Dan von Sale will answer for the Safa sides coming through? What do you expect, mate, from it? What do you expect to see, and do you think it's the right thing to be doing still to be put in there?
Well, my thoughts on the Rainbow Cup, as you know, is that it shouldn't be happening this year. I think they should have waited until the start of next season to introduce the South African sides, rather than undermining the current Pro 14 competition that's just ended. But as they say, we are where we are. The Rainbow Cup is going ahead. We'll be using some trials rules like the 20-minute red card, which you discussed on your show earlier. And I think we just have to make the most of it. We've a chance. Every team will be playing at least 6 games. So it should be looked on as a development competition, an opportunity to give prolonged game time to some fringe players, and really think about next season rather than results. And as Dan mentioned earlier, it's not necessarily throwing all your young guys in together, because that doesn't usually work, and they don't learn from a hammering. But it is an opportunity to mix some of your guys, and with next season in mind. Think of what team you want to play next season. Who. Where is the importance in getting guys involved? Who do you want? Like say for Ulster, they need to get guys like maybe Callum Reid and Izzy, and a lot of their young backs like Ethan McElroy, Stuart Moore, etc. For Leinster's, you see young guys like Jamie Osborne, and Alex Soroka, and numerous others. All the provinces. That's what we need to look at. Getting game time development and having them in a better place for the start of next season than they would have without the Rainbow Cup.
Danny Brosnan, do you think it's a good idea to do? There's still a Lions tour coming up, and you know, some of the players were playing for that as well. The Rainbow Cup. Would you rather have waited and just brought the 4 South African teams in for the beginning of next season? Just made the Pro 14, 16, Pro 16, as you were, from there straight off.
I agree with Connor to have left it to next season to bring in the Rainbow Cup and South African teams. I knew get this whole situation we're in at the moment just straightened out and leave teams adjust to that. But in one respect, it's actually maybe a bit of a good thing for Munster, because, like Conor was saying, bring in the younger players and give them a chance to work with some of the more experienced players. I mean, if Munster were to win the Rainbow Cup, it mightn't be a big thing to every other team, but maybe if we won it, it could benefit us. But if it's going to go ahead, it's probably now's the best time to maybe get it done.
Dan von Sale, I was, we keep losing Colin. We'll get him back in again. Sorry, we keep losing Danny. Forgive me, Con. Joe Lyons put a question in there. Joe, good evening. He watched on YouTube. Good man yourself. So Joe says, will the BOC teams pick full teams or development? Well, I'm going to let Dan answer this, but you will if you've watched our Springbok and South African Rugby Roundup show this Thursday at 6 p.m. The Three Blokes Ball and Best Pod, then they'll be covering a little bit more on that. But Dan Fonsale, what do you expect the teams to bring for the Rainbow Cup?
I don't know, but I hope a bit of competition. I think Connor and Ulster would have agreed with you that we shouldn't have played a Rainbow Cup now, and the Pro 14 should have just had their quarterfinals and semi-finals and so on. But no, for me as well, I would have probably started with a new season. I think bringing the SAFA sides in now. I don't know what is to gain. I think everybody's going to look forward to the Pro 16. But Rossi is playing a trick again. He played a trick on Ireland, winning the World Cup, coming over, getting all the secrets here, and then winning the World Cup with South Africa. So he's probably got something up his sleeve again. But I do think South Africa will use it as well as a development tool. Because there's no club rugby system as we know it with All Ireland League and academies and so on. There's none of that in South Africa. So they need to blood the next players, and I think that's where Jake White had instant success. He brought a lot of experienced guys back, Morne Steyn, Geo Aplon, Dwayne from Nederland, and mixed it in with a couple of youngsters. And I think the depth, the quality depth, as we said, Munster used 53 players, Leinster used 59. I don't think any of the South African sides have come close to 40 players used in their competition. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting in that regard for them. But in saying that, the main teams, if the Bulls pick their strongest team and the Sharks pick their strongest and so on, I do think there'll be the competition will be better for it.
Interesting. I'm going to try and bring Danny Brosnan back in. There we go. Danny, welcome back again, mate. Con, you've got a question.
Necessary sweetener to get the South African sides involved into the Pro 16? Do you think it was maybe an olive branch or a sweetener to this competition to give them game time now so as they join the league next year? Is there any suggestion of that, South African circles?
Dan, from you?
That's for you, Dan.
Sorry, I missed it. Sorry, that question,
Dan.
Connor. Sorry,
I've just heard the suggestion that the introduction of the Rainbow Cup might have been a necessary sweetener, if you will, to get the South African sides involved to secure their participation in next season's Pro 16, given their guys needed the game time now, or do you think it's just
I think
purely money spinner?
I think no. I definitely think it's twofold. I do think they need game time. South Africa hasn't played any games or the Springboks in 14 months or 15 months. So I do think they must have some sort of competition back in South Africa. It's only the Cheetahs is there as well, but really only 4 or 5 provinces that fight things out. So they need that competition. But I also do think on your second part, I do think it is a bit of a money spinner because South Africa, with the Lions tour, I think it's a bit of an appetizer for that as well. Now, okay, we don't know about crowds and so on, but originally when it was featured, I think that to get that appetizer of supporters there as well, I think played a part.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? I mean, I'm pretty straightforward that ordinarily, had we not had COVID, then it would have been great as an introductory period thing to have the competition with the 4 South African franchises in, and to get people to get to know them. They can get used to being up in the Northern Hemisphere more regularly, blah, 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 and then start the Pro 16. But we're in strange times, and I just think it's being crammed in. And I think part of it is being forced by the South African Rugby Union, because they've got the Lions tour going ahead, and that's why it's been forced as well. And everything else has had to capitulate. I'm angry that there was no sort of playoffs and things for the Pro 14. That's just my personal opinion. But I think the Saffers are coming to get a bit of a look-see around, a bit of a feel for things. The players are getting some game time, much needed game time before the Lions tour. Absolutely no doubt. There's a money spinner on this as well. It's all professional, but it's all, you can almost see what's happening. That then says, it's where's Kate Beechner put hers up? I've missed it now, but she's going to see. I can't find it anyway.
I'm just uncomfortable with the whole idea of the Pro 14 being cut short and the rules changing mid-competition. I don't think that's right. I think it undervalues the competition.
Here we go. We time will tell. It's going ahead anyway. There's lots and lots of things being crammed in. I one of the serious issues I have is I think we have time to rebuild coming out of lockdown across the globe and to do some really good things. And we're seeing some of that. A show champion put up before that. There's the first. You look at what's happening in the women's game. There's the first ever Super Rugby women's game coming up on 1st of April. I think that is. And with what World Rugby are doing, and there's lots of stuff at grassroots level. Gerald Williamson, former past president of an AIL club there, helping promote the grassroots. We've got opportunities, and yet we seem to be already creeping back into cramming things in and letting other things suffer. And what would I know? But I'm just fearful that we're going to cram too much in too soon to do it, and we don't necessarily need to be able to do it. It needs to be staged approach as we're coming through. Before we go, because we are now over the hour mark, before we go, Danny Brosnan, give us one thing that you would like to see Munster develop, grow to in the next 12 months, mate, as part of a sort of, their achievements. What would you like to see, apart from winning trophies? Sorry, mate. You're on. You've muted yourself, mate. You need to unmute yourself. Not me.
Oh, sorry. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more of a kind of a steel edge come into Munster in the way they kind of play in terms of attacking, and I think that steel edge there is more or less there defensively, but I just want to see more confidence in the team, more willingness to try new things, just in how they're kind of playing overall, and maybe a bit more better communication and stuff, and just try and make more. If they do win a trophy now next season, I'd be happy. But it's just me making the progress. It's everyone playing together and singing from the same hymn sheet, which at times doesn't seem to have worked for us this season. Some of the great players I think we've had this season were actually maybe Ben Healy and James Herman. I thought they played well. Casey and Gavin Coombs, outstanding. Warshley, brilliant, and get maybe more time for those younger players and just let them see what they can do. That's what I'd really be happy with now next season.
Good, excellent stuff. That's from a Munster perspective, and we wish JJ all the best on his travels. I think that, again, losing another quality player there, but you can understand in a Sean Cree why he's doing that. So we wish him well. I like JJ an awful lot. I think he's very underestimated as an all-round player, personally. There we go. Connor, tell us what are you looking for from Leinster, apart from just continue winning and winning and winning. What do you want to see in the next 12 months?
Just keep what they're doing. They're very well run entity from academy through to senior level, and the coaching is going very well. A number of players have made huge progress in the last 12 to 18 months, from Hugo Keane and Will Connors, Ryan Baird, Ronan Kelleher, Dan Sheen. and now it's about bringing the next generation through. And I think if there's one, I don't know how you feel about this, Dan, but I had a discussion with a friend recently, and he made the arguments that Leinster produce very well-rounded rugby players but at times they lack certain core skills in key areas. Specifically, he's talking about or development of scrum halves and or hookers' inability to hit their darts. He's two skills. We're talking about two positions, two specialist positions, two real specialist positions. So that's a broader debate, but Leinster do a lot of things very well in terms of coaching and the overall running of the club. So I look forward to the next generation. Jamie Osborne and Alex Soroka for me are the next two big things.
Good. Well, we very much look forward to that. Dan Fonsail, we know what your thoughts are. However, what's happening with finish it off? What's happening with Rugby Academy Ireland, mate? Because that always excites me. Where are you at the moment? And you still got sort of youngsters in there, the next generation of aspiring youngsters. Where are you with them at the moment?
Yeah, no, we're coming to the end of our season. Guys are writing exams and so on at the moment, and our program finishes the end of April, and then it's trying to get the new group in September. COVID depending, but hopefully we can make a difference again in some players' lives as we've done up to now. But agreeing there with Connor, the Irish academies are very well catered for. Long may that continue. But again, we hope to the guys with aspirations that don't make it into those academies, that we can be a vehicle for them towards professional rugby.
Good stuff. Well, we wish you all the best. Danny Brosnan, I'm a Munster fan for tonight. Thanks very much, mate. We wish you all the best. Thanks for taking the time to pop on, mate. And we look forward to seeing how you get on in Europe. Dan Fonsail, as ever, a real pleasure, mate. I'm just going to stick. Remind people, think like Dan. and if you want a day when you just want to chill out a little bit at home, you don't want to be thinking, you just want to dance like Dan. There we go. So that's what you'll never forgive me for that now. I need to watch my social media now to see what comes next. Ladies and gents, this is sorry, mate. It's been a Three Blokes Ball and Board and the Four Provinces Rugby Supporters Group joint show tonight with go to the Four Provinces Rugby Supporters Group on Facebook, run by that man there, Conor Broomfield, who's the founder and is a fab group. I highly recommended that you go and sort of join that at the fab thing. And obviously Conor and young Nathan Johns are our leads for our Leinster Lions show for that. Please go to there's our YouTube, the Three Bod Rugby Group YouTube link. Please go to that. There's a lot more stuff happening on there coming forward now, and we have now got 2 or 3 times a week. We had one tonight, our new Live at 5 show, which has just started off and seems to be going very well. People asking, can we have one every single day? I'm trying to fit them in, lads. The idea is that they're meant to fit in between these hour and a bit shows, but as it happens, tomorrow night we've got Rhiannon Stennekamp, who's always loves people always asking, where's Rhiannon? Can we have him back on the show? He has just been elected as president of the South African Deaf Rugby Union. So fair play, congratulations to Rhiannon, and I'll be doing a Live at 5 tomorrow to chat with him all about deaf rugby in South Africa and his role as the president and there as well. Connor, thanks, mate. Always a pleasure. Looking forward to the next Leinster Line.
Pleasure is mine.
Good man yourself. Danny Brosnan, take care of yourself, mate. We look forward to have you back on.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, and Dan Fonsail. Just gonna
thank you.
There we go. Dance like that. Absolutely love it. Until tomorrow at 5 when I'll be on with Rhiannon, and then on Thursday we have got the Springbok and South African Rugby Roundup Show, the monthly show with Andrew Daniel from Scrum 5 Rugby and Walking Tall with G-Man Gareth Mason, Three Blokes Ball and Blitzpod, and that is at 6 o'clock UK and Ireland, 8 p.m. In fact, I think it's 7 p.m. in South Africa because we've moved forward an hour, and then equivalent time zones around the globe. That's Thursday, and go to the page and obviously like us and follow us, and you'll get up to date with everything else. I'm Big Joe Ship. I am a co-host tonight with Connor, and I'm chuffed that Connor, everything he's doing and is part of the team now. And so until tomorrow, we will see you. Please stay safe. Thank you, everybody who is supporting us, sending us kind messages, following us, telling us that, can you share the stuff on? Of course you can share the stuff on. And asking us to do certain things, because what you want is what we tend to give you. This is another 3BOD rugby group show, 3 Blokes Ball and Bod, and the 4 Provinces Rugby Supporters Group, brought to you by, don't forget, go to coffeedog.ie, get some Shep's blend, and wake up with Shep every morning. Because why wouldn't you want to? Take care, lads. Got a meal of Mahagas. Slack the ball.